Hello, everyone. Wow, my phone just decided to send me some questions. Ah, okay. I got. Someone just sent me a message in the middle of a live stream. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine someone sending me a message in the middle of live stream? I can't answer questions. I'm here to talk to you guys all about lasers and everything that goes along with it. If this is your very first time here, welcome. This is the laser live stream. The laser live stream? The laser live stream. My name is Gil Posnowski. If you, yeah, I was gonna say, if you're here the very first time, we're really glad that you're here with us. I got some advice since the last live stream. Our last live stream was long. It was over 2 hours long. It was a lot, and I'm gonna try something a little bit different this time. I'm gonna try and do the live stream in an hour format. So with that in mind, let's go say hello to everyone that's in the chat room right now. I see Bill, who has been here for a while. I usually come in and say a quick hello and get everything ready pretty much about an hour before we go live, and Bill was already here saying hello, so I want to definitely acknowledge that. And also Peter came in pretty early just to say good morning, because where he lives, I believe, is Norway. It is first thing in the morning, so I appreciate that you're here. And of course, the one, the only Rockin' Rob, also coming all the way from Tennessee. If I am right, tell me if I'm right or not. All the way from the US. It's great to see you here as well. And we've got Adrian, who has worked really hard to get here. I know the last couple of streams we missed him, but Adrian's a founding member and an original laserologist here at the Laser live stream, and it's also awesome to see him. Audrey's saying hello to everyone, which is great. Now we've got Army Dogs Creation, and I think that this is the very first time here at the live stream. If so, please let me know. If so, I think you are. So I'm going to welcome you, because welcome to the crew, man. You're a laserologist, and I'd love to hear where you're from and a little bit about what you do. So that is totally cool and awesome. Welcome on board. We've got Becca. Becca's in here. He's tired. I'm not sure if it's a he or she. Last time I got stuck with that. I thought someone was a she and it really was a he. But Becca's in the house, tired but still here, and it's great to see. Bill telling us that he's from Kentucky. That's great. Peter saying he doesn't mind the 2 hours. I was actually thinking about this. We might do the live stream, and then we might go and continue more social stream a little bit later. Not for this one, but we'll see what's going on. And we've also got Kat Miles coming in for the very first time. So Kat is now a laserologist, joining us here on the Laser live streams. Welcome. Love to hear what kind of lasers you use and what you use them to create. And I'm sure we're all going to be able to basically discuss what we enjoy. But it's great to see another laserologist coming into the fold. It's awesome. Rockin' Rob's Portland, Oregon. Why did I think Tennessee? I think last time someone was here from Tennessee. I got it all mixed up. So many people, so many names. I got to tell you guys a little secret. I'm terrible at names. I'm really good at names here, but normally it's not the case at all. Bill, your dog's got gas? Man, you gotta open up a window. Don't fire your laser. Don't do it. You know what I'm saying. But open up a window, you'll be cool. Dog Army's Creation, coming all the way from California, my second home. I spent 10 years in California, so it's great to see you, and it's great. And Becca is a she, so thank you so much. I think, just being respectful, don't want to assume anything, because that's usually what gets me into trouble. And Can'C's a new... Can'C coming in from Logan, Queensland, a brand new laserologist. You guys are awesome. It is so cool to see new people coming in, people who are enthusiastic about lasers. It is really, really cool to see you guys. And welcome. Normally we keep talking and it takes like half an hour to get through everything. That's okay. More people are going to be coming in and joining us as the word comes out, but we're going to jump straight into it. So first of all, I want to hold on a second. We got Laurie Monahan. How are you? That is so cool. Thank you so much for dropping in. Laurie's all the way from Brisbane. You know Laurie. He is the amazing talent who created for us the Laserologist Challenge last stream. I think it was. Who made the film canister. It's great to see you live. I think I he didn't get a chance to see it live, and then I sent him an email congratulating him, and like I'm sure he caught it on the replay. But it's great to see you. I know that you've got your son's going to sports training, but it's so good for you to come in and say hello to everyone. And of course, we've got the, again, founding laserologists Mike and Jen all the way from Queensland as well. So Laurie and Mike right around the corner. So it's it's an awesome thing, guys. Before we move on, I do want to acknowledge that we have some amazing people sponsoring us here on the Laser Livestream and really just supporting this whole project. So I want to shout out to both Darkly Labs. That's the home of the Emblazer range. I use an Emblazer 2 in my office. I don't know if you can hear this, but I'm knocking right where I sit to do the live streams is actually where my laser is. If you're looking for a diode laser that you can put into your office, operates safely, has safety equipment in it, that you can vent outside a window or put on an extractor, go check them out at www.darklylabs.com. And I also want to thank the amazing people who work behind the scenes at LightBurn software. LightBurn's the software that runs the Emblazers, as well as a number of laser cutters and diode lasers, CO2 lasers, and hopefully in the short period of time we'll get access to fiber lasers as well. LightBurn is one of the, well, it is the software that I love using on my laser. If you're here for the very first time because you've been hanging out and seeing a lot of the tutorials that I do, they're all based on LightBurn. I find that it's an amazing piece of software, and definitely check them out. If you haven't used it, you can go over there to lightburnsoftware.com. You can get a 30-day free trial. It sounds like I'm a salesman now, but honestly, I used to use other software. I couldn't do half the things that I do with LightBurn. It is a pretty amazing thing. So I want to thank both companies for helping support this live stream. And you know what? It's amazing to be able to just join with everyone, man, because we're not here. It's not just about the live streams. It's not just about the tutorials. What it's actually about is creating a community, a laser community, a community of people who are exploring and creating. And this really came out from the lockdowns that we've had in the last 2 years. So one of the things I also like to do is put out the intentions of what this live stream is all about and what we're going to do as a community. And our very first intention is just to build a creative and interactive laser community. It doesn't matter what you're using. I don't care if you use a CO2 laser, a diode laser, a fiber laser, a CD laser, a laser pointer, maybe use a lightsaber. I don't care. If you're creating with a laser, come on over and share your journey with us. We also want to support all laser users. Right? If you're beginning, if you're an expert, if you're intermediate, if you're a builder of lasers, if you're a coder of software, we want to support everyone on their journey and share with your journey, because ultimately it leads into the third point, which is we want to share knowledge. If you know how to do something, that is awesome. But by sharing that knowledge and helping people get to where they need to or would like to go, we make ourselves all stronger on that pathway. And in the end, really, everyone has something that they can teach someone. I love this saying, which is everyone you meet knows something you don't, but you need to know. Learn from them. And that's exactly where the stream and the community is coming from. We want to be able to share. We've had a lot of kind of new laser users coming in who are trying to explore a whole lot of stuff. And it is just amazing to see the support in the Facebook group, on the channel, you name it. It's just more and more people coming into the laser fray, and we want to meet each and every one of you. We want to see what's going on. Let me go really quick. We haven't done this in a while, so let's go to the chat room. There's the chat right here, and I'm just going to quickly take a look at it and see what's going on. We've got welcome to all the new people, says Audrey, and hope to get a CO2 if my next attempt to mug someone is successful, says Bill. Well, don't mug anyone, but I hope you get a CO2 laser too. Cansey saying I'm going to buy an X-Tool D1 and the Emblazer 2. Haven't got them yet, but come to learn LightBurn while I'm waiting. Perfect. It's great to see. And Rob is also hoping to get a rotary attachment for his CO2 laser, and that's awesome to be able to see. That's great. Now, you know what? We were talking about community and whether or not you're here for the very first time or you've been here for a while. I want to go through how you can actually be active in the community, because you know what? A community with just one person, it's no fun. Just no fun. So there's a number of ways you can get involved. First of all, if this is your very first time here, hit that subscribe button to support this project. You know, we are on YouTube. YouTube is not the strongest place for live streams. There's other platforms. Some people were saying to me, Gil, take this off, go to Twitch, go to, you know, all these other platforms. But the truth is, a lot of people search YouTube, they find a lot of the other content that I create, like the tutorials, and then they come and become a part of the community. But we are up against everyone on YouTube. So one of the ways that YouTube knows that people are watching these streams and that they're valuable is the feedback. So please, if you haven't, you can go to the bottom right-hand side, hit that subscribe button. That helps this project. And of course, chat. This is what I love about live streams compared to videos, is the fact that we're doing this in real time. I can look and see exactly what's going on in the chat room, and we can answer questions live. And it's a two-way street, baby. It's a two-way street, as opposed to one way, which is just people watching the videos. Yep, you guys can comment, but there's a lag. I love the fact that you can do this directly. And if you are not someone who feels comfortable in the chat room, but you still want to contribute, we have an email address at laser.livestream@gmail.com, as well as a Instagram and a Twitter. Both of those handles are Laser Livestream. Both of them are active. But more important than anything else, we have a Facebook group where you, if you're watching this in a passive mode and you're just consuming, which is totally fine, you'll see people coming up in the chat who are active in the Facebook group. It's a great place to be able to share your work and ask questions and just be a part of the community. So I wanted to make sure that everyone knew what they could do. Oh, man, I've got to acknowledge this. Peter is so generous, so generous. Peter just actually donated to the live stream through what they call super chats, which is one of the ways that you can support this project directly. I thank you so much, Peter. I really do appreciate that. It's awesome when people do that. I can't acknowledge it enough. And I've got to be honest. I say I've got to be honest often, but it's one thing to be able to go and, you know, say, hey, like your stuff, or give us a thumbs up. But when people go into their pockets, I mean, people who want to give that way, Peter's being one of them right now, that's a whole nother level thing. Talk is cheap, but that super chat, those donations mean the world to me, because what you're doing is you're kind of patting me on the back going, I like what you're doing, keep going. And that donation that Peter just gave is going to go back into the live stream, and that could be equipment for what I'm doing here. I've actually got a fan on my computer because it keeps overheating. Last time when we had a bit of a restart, that's what happened. But the other things that come up with donations like that is that I buy material to do the tutorials and to share the knowledge as I learn and explore. So, you know, thank you so much, Peter. I really, really do appreciate that, because it's a whole nother level of appreciation. Also, if you happen to want to support in the same way that Peter just did, but you don't want to do it publicly, right below there happens to be a link to what's called a PayPal one-time donation. You also have the opportunity to put a note in there, and those notes I absolutely cherish. 100% of that comes again to the live stream. So really, I love that. Peter's saying, don't mention it. Love your live streams. Thank you so much, Peter. I love being here, man. And Peter also shared with me a whole bunch of television stuff that I had no idea about, and completely rocking my world. SJA Media Service coming in from Toowoomba. It's good to see another Australian here. You guys are awesome. YouTube is really stepping up their live stream game, though. I hope so. We've been here now for 2 years. We're finally getting some traction, which is great. But you know what? We're gonna see what's going to happen. Like I said, had a few people come in, talk to me about what I was doing, gave me some advice. One of the things they said was, take this to another platform. You're going to grow much faster there. I want to stay at YouTube. Can the Emblazer cut through abalone shell sheets? Really good question, Can See. I personally haven't had experience with it. I don't know anyone who's done that, but I'm curious to see what will happen when you try, and of course share that with us. We might be able to help you. So I don't know it straight off the top of my head, but we'll see what's going on. Mike also saying that he has to test the new nesting features in LightBurn, which happens to be the last tutorial that I did on YouTube. So LightBurn working on their own nesting protocol, but until they can get that up and running, and it is a little tricky, they've actually integrated a way to use a thing called SVG Nest, which is a free website that will do nesting online and then allow you to import back that result just using 2 clicks, which is amazing, right? It's interesting because I kind of joked with Jason, good old Oz from LightBurn, a number of times. There's a lot, and I mean a lot of advice out there. If you're on Facebook and you're in one of the laser groups, there are a lot of people who are giving free advice. I guess in a lot of ways I do the same, but I do try to go through my thought process, the process that I use, whether it's in LightBurn or using a laser, and I try to, part of the live stream is to try and explain that sort of stuff as well. Someone was kind of a little negative about the nesting feature in LightBurn now. Well, it's not really a feature, it's an integration for nesting, and kept calling it Deep Nest, which is an application that you run on your machine locally. And I just think it's so funny because he kept saying, you can just use Deep Nest. The LightBurn just sends you to Deep Nest, Deep Nest, Deep Nest, Deep Nest. And I thought to myself, I don't mind when people say there's a better way to do things. In fact, I don't have all the answers, but I love the fact that we're learning together. But when you talk about a different product that has nothing to do with the feature that's coming in, it's I kind of get a little bit, everyone's got an opinion, I guess. But if you're going to say, hey man, you can do it yourself, just use the right tool, right? Anyway, it's kind of funny thing. I wanted to let you know that. SJA is saying tried nesting today with the SVG, but the PDF couldn't get it into stayed in groups. I'm glad you brought that up. In fact, the very next video I'm going to create is going to be an adjunct to the nesting video about grouping and a few other things that I've learned as I went through to actually explore how LightBurn works with SVG nests. So that's going to be coming out in a very short period of time. I know people have been struggling with grouping. I also got caught up in that. I have now worked through how to get that to work, and I will share that with you guys really, really soon. Okay, so let's talk about what's on the show. So today we've got the Laserologist showcase where we're going to go through all the different projects that people have been making in the last 2 weeks. Then we are going to go through the best and the worst materials. I've had a number of requests of people asking about materials, what they should use, what they shouldn't use. We're going to go through and basically a showcase of all the materials. I'm picking, I think it was 5 good ones, and then another 5 of materials that you probably shouldn't use with a bonus material. And then we're going to talk about the upcoming Laserologist challenge, and hopefully we'll be able to do all of this within an hour. So we'll see what's going on. But yeah, it's kind of a funny situation. I'm watching the time now. I'm watching the time. Last time we were on, someone left the live stream to watch Picard, Captain Picard, and I've got to be like, the line's drawn here. But at the same time, I went and saw episode 3 of Picard, and I'm like, dude, I'd rather stay with the live stream. I've got to be honest with you. So as I said, we're gonna jump straight into it. And with that, let's jump into the Laserologist showcase, where we look at some of the projects that have been created in the last 2 weeks. And our very first one is Rob. And now I don't think Rob's in the chat room, but Rob was kind enough to let me know that he came onto the Laser Livestream Facebook group, and basically he was like, I want to thank you for your tutorials because you ended up helping me get a decent engraving. And he sent me this, and I really like, first of all, it's a very cute picture of a puppy, but that was pretty amazing to be able to see someone go and take some of the techniques that I've been sharing and actually put it into practice and actually get a great result. So Rob also shared with me some of his other projects, but this is the one that kind of really took me I don't know, not by surprise, but it was a really nice thing to not only hear that some of the videos that we've been putting out here, the tutorials have been helping people, but also he's getting a great result. So it's pretty cool. Thanks, Bill. You're actually going to stay till after the stream. Thank you so much. And the new Halo series, yes, I want to check that one out too. But you know, first comes first. The laser streams happen. Gil has a phaser mic, not a. Okay, let's keep moving on. Bill, look who's here. Bill's in the chat room. He knew he's going to hang around because I wanted to show off his work. These amazing tiles. First of all, I was almost tempted, Bill, to show a whole bunch of different tiles with the girl with shades, because you went and processed them many different ways. But I really liked that tile, and that was awesome. And I also love the Highlander. The Highlander tiles came out great, so I wanted to show both of those. Pamela Cupcakes, how you doing, Pamela Cupcakes? Oh, I'm late. I have to watch this later. You can hang in here. We're like, what are we in? We just started, so it's all good. But Pamela Cupcakes, I know that this is your first time here. Thank you so much for coming on board. You are a laserologist now. So let us know what kind of laser you have, and we're going to jump straight back into Bill's great work. And I love it when I can show off work and people happen to speak in the chat room right now. And it is Highlander. There can only be one. There can only be one. So, yeah, that's Cybergirl. Yeah, that Cybergirl came out really well. There can only be one tile. Well, that's Nicky Norton, isn't it? He's the master of tiles, but it's awesome to see what's going on. There you go. There can only be one. I love it. Near's been with us for a while, exploring how he uses a laser. Usually he does tile work, but he was inspired by the great Pink Floyd to create a mirror of the dark side of the moon, and I thought this was pretty amazing as well. I'm laughing because I'm reading Peter's comment. They should have. I agree. Highlander 2 was the only movie I ever walked out of that starred the amazing Michael Ironside, and that film was so bad. But let's get back to Nier's work. This mirror is pretty cool. He did say that it was kind of hard to take a photo of how the mirror worked, but he etched it from behind. I'm not too sure how he did the rainbow, but this is a stunning piece. I'm hoping Nier will catch it on the flip side and then be able to explain to us how he did it. But Nier's skills are just getting better and better all the time. It is pretty amazing stuff. Well done, Nier. This is inspiring me to try and do some mirror work. Ron Pennypacker, good morning. It's good to see you too. And Pamela, great to hear that you got an Inblazer call. Rock and Rob Likes, I think, is enjoying the mirror, which is great as well. And then we've got Monty. Monty's playing around with cork, and cork is just a fabulous material to work with. And here you can see a whole bunch of coasters that he's been able to create. I'm not too sure what the emblem, the crow, is all about. The Jayhawks, I'm assuming. Maybe it's an American team. Maybe I'm in Australia, so I don't know that what the mascot is, but maybe someone in the chat room can tell me. But this is, again, some amazing work. Very new laserologist here, creating what he's passionate about with his newfound laser. So great job, Monty. And Mike as well. And the other Mike, not Mike Culver, this is Mike Towers. And, you know, I love the soccer ball with the emblems. I thought that was a real creative use of being able to work through, a material and apply it in a very creative way. And of course, you also have pretty amazing butterfly. I'm assuming because it's black, that this is more of a Darkly Labs method than a Nicky Norton white tile method, but it is really, really nice. Really nice. Jesus, how are you? Welcome to the live stream. I'm pretty sure this is your first time, so you're a laserologist, and you just inherited a Chinese laser and came across my tutorials, hoping I can get inspired to integrate with my woodwork and engraving. Jesus, or Jesus, thank you so much. I'm glad you found our tutorials. I'm really glad that you're here on the live stream too. Come and hang out. Maybe get some inspiration, maybe some ideas to use your Chinese laser. Very lucky to inherit that. That's awesome, man. I love the fact that it works. Very cool. Welcome on board, Mick Towers instead of Mike Towers. Mick, great job. I love the butterfly, and I really love the execution of the soccer ball. That is a pretty amazing piece. The other Mike, it's Mick and Mike. Unbelievable. Mike Grace is, I don't think he's in the chat room, but he's also a frequent contributor to the live stream community. And I love, again, very new cork coasters with some of the characters that have inspired me from film, especially Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees. And you got Jason mask, you've got Michael Myers, you've got Pennypacker, no, Penny something. Pennypacker's in the room. Pennyworth, and of course Chucky. Some really great work there. And he also made this tag for his sister, who makes handmade crocheted items. And the idea is this is a tag that they can put on the work to identify who created it. I love this sort of stuff. Again, it's really nice to see the work that people create, and I love understanding the reason why they've created it. I love, I enjoy tiles and images and all the rest of it. Pennywise, thank you guys. But at the same time, it's when you're able to utilize a laser to answer a need in a question in a unique way, like Mike has done. That's inspirational, baby. It's inspirational. Mal. I don't think Mal's here today because he had to go in the adjudicator swim competition, but Mal's been working with a whole bunch of different materials, and you can see here. I'm wondering if this was made for Valentine's Day, but you've got some lovebirds in the love heart, and I love the fact that he's shown us before he finished by painting the piece and then after. And again, that's just really inspirational to see where Mal began with his Emblazer, with his diode laser, and what he's being able to create. The multi-layers look fantastic, and I agree with Mike on that. It's like the technique is just being refined over and over again, and this is something that you can take and put your own spin to and be able to create something really, really unique. Wood and acrylic. Is there acrylic in there, Mike? I'm not too sure, but I haven't spoken to Mal about it, so you may be correct. I thought this was all wood layers, but I also like the fact that you can see the before happens to be on the right hand side and the left is after. Then we got John Smith, aka the Doctor, and John Smith did an amazing engrave on a tile of this cat. You look at all the individual hairs, all the different detail that's in here. I mean, this is pretty spectacular. I personally wish that I could get back to making tiles. For some reason, I'm so busy making tutorials and live streams, I haven't had as much time to work on my own private projects, but this is the sort of image that I aspire to creating. So I think it's really, really amazing. The left one was acrylic? Oh, okay. So Mike, the in here, the left one was acrylic, and I guess it's a prototype. I thought he painted it, to be honest with you, but that's cool. And yes, John's work too. So John, if you're watching, well done, man. My hat's off to you. I would love to be able to do this myself. Maybe one day. And Amber also working again with Slate. Amber's contributed quite a few projects. So this is, I love to be able to see what people create. And it's just so nice to be able to see the journey and the progression. And you can definitely see that in Amber's work. So it's great. Really cool. And David Laws, I don't think he's in the chat room right now, but this is another one of those amazing tile pieces where you see the depth in the tile itself. It is just amazing to be able to go through and see what you are able to create. This is incredibly inspirational. I believe this piece is called Shy. And just seeing the detail in this person's eyes, all the different lines and the lines in her hands and her fingers. It is, again, it shows you the flexibility of what laser technology can do with a little bit of skill and a little bit of kind of dialing in those features. You can make some incredible images. So David, you've inspired me, man. I'm going to find some time so I can pull some stuff back onto the laser. And it's awesome. I know we're doing okay. It's half an hour. We've already got through most of the stuff in the start, but I've got to go acknowledge some of these comments because that's what it's all about, even though I'm trying to move the show along. So Rob also shared that he loves layered art laser art, and that is the inspiration of him buying a rotary. Your rotaries for the layered artwork. That's awesome, Rob. And in fact, Rob created some layered work for the Laserologist challenge, which is awesome. Peter also sharing that he loves 3D effect work. There was also SGA saying this is the bomb. Please just let me know. The artwork that we were looking at was what you were saying, or the stream as a whole. You can say both if you want, but either way, man, thank you so much for that feedback. Laurie also saying that John's work was amazing with the detail. And Rob also sharing that he personally has not fallen head over heels in love with the tiles, okay? But I recognize the skill to make it happen, but I'm more aware of a more cut and build kind of maker. That's okay, man. The kitty is the bomb. Awesome. Thank you, SGA. I see. My head was swelling. I thought you were saying that about the live stream. I was like, how much better can I get? Because people are telling me it's the bomb, but that cat is amazing. I agree. And going back to Rob's comment, look, it takes some skill. It's a different avenue of applying laser technology. I'm with you though, my friend. I like to cut things out and build and put them together. But at the same time, I love the fact that you can take an image and you can make a really unique, almost photorealistic interpretation of that image through laser technology. And there's a lot of people in there, man, that are doing this sort of the stuff. So, you know, it's pretty awesome. And yes, the vid. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, SJA. Let's move on, because again, I'm being a little bit, you know, I'm trying hard. Otherwise, I just talk to you guys all the time. Not that I don't love that. And what if you like the hour, but you want to have more of a social conversation, as we have done in some of the live streams, let me know in the chat room right now, in this chat room right here. Let me know. Maybe just say more stream. If you want more, you know, a longer thing. We won't do it here on, or maybe we will do it here on YouTube, but I've got an idea of being able to continue, maybe have an after party or something like that. It's not a problem. Hey, Stuart just came in. It's good to see. Stuart, you're never late. You're never late, my friend. Welcome, another founding laserologist to the community. But let me know in the chat room. We can talk lasers. We can talk a whole bunch of other things. Just want to know if people would hang out for a little bit longer and see exactly what's going on, and getting some feedback would be amazing, because if that's the case, I will set something up so that we can continue the conversation, maybe outside the laser live stream, or maybe it could be laser live stream after dark. I don't know. I'll make sure I'll wear clothes, but we'll work something out. So yeah, please let me know. Just put in there and just say more. More's fine. I see Peter's already saying that, so that's awesome. Okay, let's move on a little bit. Let's talk about what we're going to do, and we're going to talk about laser material today. This is something that is really strong, a strong passion of mine. A big part of what I do happens to be about safety when it comes to lasers. Excuse me, guys, I just need to take a quick sip of water. I'm seeing a whole bunch of people saying more, so I'll work on that. So we're going to talk about laser material. A lot of people, just in general, like to get their laser and explore the world, and I've got no problem with that. But what a lot of people aren't aware of is that some materials release chemicals, or it can be dangerous. So we'll see. We'll go through some of those things, and I'll explain some of those things to you as well. Tonight, we're going to go through 5 great materials to stick in your laser cutter. We're going to talk about 5 things maybe you don't want to put on, at least one that you should never put into a laser cutter. And basically, as I was just saying before, you just have, I want this conversation to allow people, especially people who have just come to the community and have just started out on the laser journey, just be aware that different materials in your laser can have different effects. So that's, I guess, I don't know why I put this up. We just said that. But let's talk about the very first piece of material. And this is a no-brainer. I think most people who've had a laser have used this material from one time to another. And that happens to be wood. Wood is an incredibly good material to put into your laser. And this includes plywoods, MDF, and hardwoods. There's no problem there's no problem using materials that have been treated. So the biggest issue that we've got to worry about is how a piece of wood has been treated. If it's oily, or it has resin, or if it's been painted, there is a risk due to starting a fire in your laser, or what that material what the wood has been treated with could be toxic hazard. So just be aware of that. Now, one of the things we get a lot of conversation about is people will say, hey, I just went down to Home Depot, or I went to Bunnings in Australia and I bought some plywood and it didn't cut through, or it didn't work this out, or, is it safe? The biggest caveat I have to any material, and especially when it comes to wood, is the fact that all materials are not made equally. All woods are treated with formaldehyde because formaldehyde stops the wood from rotting. Now, when it comes to a laser, if you're using plywood, there are certain glues that when a laser hits them, it actually stops the transmission of energy. So that's why some people will get a piece of wood from, let's say, Home Depot or Bunnings, and one batch works really well, and they'll go back in, buy some more, and it just bad results each and every time. Hi, Tori. It's good to see you. I'm glad you returned. In that case, this is where the idea that not all materials are created equally. When you're buying stuff from a hardware store, they're basically trying to buy material at the lowest cost and get a better, make a better profit when they sell it on to you. So just be aware of that. You want to make sure that you end up with the best material that you can use. I have now stopped using material from hardware stores, and I actually try to specialize with material that is designed for laser cutters for two reasons. One is, once I have the material, I know it's going to cut cleanly. And when I'm working with a diode laser, something that might take 6 or 7 passes because I'm trying to cut through a large piece of material may take 2 or 3. And the other reason is that I know the material is going to have less processing involved. So they use glues that aren't going to interfere with the laser when I'm cutting through. And also with that, they're minimizing some of the chemicals used to prepare the material. So I definitely wanted to make that aware. Peter's saying that he would love to cut out old records, but I'd also like to live to look at it. We're going to talk about PVC right at the end, because that's kind of where I discovered that people were interested in talking about this. And Rock and Rob also saying that he ran into the PVC conundrum. I've been thinking about experimenting with exhaust, gas collection, and is it treatment or ablayment? Okay. We'll talk about that in a little bit, Rob. You may need to do a few things, so I'll go through what I know about it and what people have discussed with me, and you can make a decision. Let's go on to the next material. Sorry, that's not the material. This is, and that's leather. Leather is an amazing material to work with in a laser because it's organic, and it can be cut and it can be engraved. And you can see in the example, there's an amazing engraving as well as cutting. Now, always try to use material that is as raw as possible. They usually come with a raw side and a wax side, and usually the wax side happens to be the side that cuts really, really cleanly. Be aware that when you are cutting or working with laser, if you're a vegetarian, you may not want to cut leather inside because it starts smelling a little bit like a barbecue. It's quite weird. I was working with some leather with a client of mine, and I was like, I'm hungry. And we're like, hey, let's go get steaks. So that was kind of interesting. Leather cuts extremely well. But just make sure that you are not using treated leather before you put in your laser. Some places do treat leather with tanning and a bunch of different processes. Just find out. That's all you need to do. Just ask them what they're using. Maybe ask them to give you a copy of the safety data sheet that goes along with some of those chemicals. You're looking for the usual suspects with that, and that's definitely PVC, glues, a few other things like that. Those decisions are going to make If you are able to understand what goes into these materials and make a decision that way, it's going to make your use of using a laser so much nicer and so much easier. Adrian now saying that all he uses is laser MDF, and acrylic. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that, Adrian. I think you're also getting a good result out of that. Pamela says that she's going to use her laser outside. If you can do that safely, of course, I strongly suggest that. I'm actually wanting to set up a workshop where I can put all my laser stuff in, because this is my office. I'm in here every day. You never know what's going on. And Pamela saying, I would like to know that as well. And it's like, can you buy dedicated laser material in bulk? The answer is yes, absolutely you can, but you might not want to do that. And I'll tell you why. If you're buying plywood or MDF wood or anything like that, wood absorbs moisture, which means over time it's going to buckle, it's going to warp. One way you can minimize that is by stacking it all on top of each other and putting big weights on top. But the longer you have to wait to cut through the material, the more moisture it's going to absorb. So a lot of people buy a few sheets at a time, use it, and then continue to buy. If you have a dedicated supplier, speak to them. Say, work out, I need 3 sheets every week, and just continue to have a kind of standing order. That way you're minimizing the buckling. And of course, when it comes to a laser, if you have a bow in your material, sometimes the material goes in and out of focus. And when you're out of focus, you're not using all the power that's being supplied by your laser. So I personally buy per job, cut that stuff, and then go back and order again. So there's multiple ways. Of course, you don't have to listen to me. You can buy as much material as you want. When it comes to acrylic, I do buy it in bulk. I have some material that I'm actually going to be giving away in the Laserologist challenge this month. I've got some solid black acrylic that will go to the person who wins the challenge, and that stuff I definitely bought in bulk. Acrylic doesn't absorb moisture. You just want to make sure that you store it correctly. That's what I was going to say. Adrian saying that he engraves leather promo gear, bottle caps, pen cases, also all laser safe, which is great. And Stuart also saying that he'd rather spend a little bit more to make sure he's safe and gets constant results. Awesome, man. I'm glad to see that that's your answer. Oh, and Adrian also sharing that, yeah, you can buy 20 sheets at a time, more manageable, not only for bowing, but also in areas of high humidity. It tends to go moldy after 4 weeks. I've never had the moldy issue. I know you're in Queensland, it's a little bit more humid. I'm in Melbourne, it's a little bit further down. I've never had a mold issue, but I've definitely had a warpage and it's a hydroscopic material. It's a little bit like the material I use in my 3D printers. If you leave the material out, it absorbs moisture, and then when you use it, you get this kind of popping sound when the water in the material is actually being boiled off. So a lot of things in this world, except for plastics, will absorb moisture, and we also absorb moisture because we're mainly made of water. All right, let's how are we going with time? Okay, doing good. All right, cardboard. I love cardboard. This is one of my favorite materials to work with. Someone said in a post that cardboard will destroy the lens of a laser. And I did ask them to let me know a little bit more about that, because I've never heard that. The only thing that I can think of is cardboard, like wax cardboard boxes, maybe that you would get from a fruitier or a shopping center. That wax might damage the lens, but cardboard is my go-to thing. This is just such a great material because it's inexpensive. One of the schools that I work with, the students, I get the students to bring in all their cardboard boxes, especially cereal boxes. They are amazing. And not only that, you can cut it really, really fast, really, really quickly. And I was using 4-ply cardboard with a CO2 laser just the other week, and once I dialed in those settings, we were cutting out parts for models. Literally, we were doing, I think, 300 mil by 400 mil, and we were cutting that whole sheet out in less than a minute. It was just so super fast. So I love the fact that you're able to do that. Peter sharing with us that cardboard fumes a lot. I agree. And I always put the air assist on, and you definitely need to have extraction because when you're cutting, it's going to cut through really, really quickly. Good morning, Dean. I'm glad you were able to catch us. It's great to see you, my friend. But again, cardboard is a really fast material. You do want to keep your eye on it because it will burn if it gets stuck in one place. So that's where you want to make sure that when you're running the job, there isn't a little artifact somewhere or anything like that. But it is just an incredible piece of material to work with. I try to prototype everything with cardboard, and I've been known to go dumpster diving to find my cardboard. So it is awesome. And you see, Becca's also saying that she loves cardboard for temporary jigs. I never even thought about that. I never even thought about that sort of stuff. Well, I've never thought I never used cardboard, really? Emery, definitely try it out, my friend. Is the edge smooth? Depending on what cardboard. There are different grades of cardboard. I find if you've got a cereal box, try that first. Incredibly smooth. Definitely smooth edge when you cut it. I've never had a problem when it comes to cardboard with the edge, and I think that's what you were asking. Absolutely. And you can get that corrugated cardboard where it's like 2 layers, it's like a sandwich. If you cut through that stuff, wow. And I'm always trying to crank it up as fast as I can with the right speed, so it just cuts through. And with this laser that's at the school, I can literally have the whole piece and just pop them all out. I might have to take some video and show you guys next time. You can also be making your own shipping boxes. Absolutely, Becca, you can do that too. And Emery's going to try that out. Let us know, man. Try it out, take some photos and share them on the Facebook group. That's the best way to do it. That way we know what's going on. All right, another material that a lot of people don't think about, but we've discussed this before, is felt. And felt is one of the oldest forms of fabric known to mankind, or humankind, I should say. And it also predates weaving and knitting, but it is almost 100% wool. Felt is an amazing product to put into the laser. You just need to turn on your air assist and you can engrave or cut felt. So this is, again, one of those really cool pieces of material that a lot of people don't really think about when it comes to lasers, but you're able to create different things with it. I love working with felt. It also cuts really fast. I like materials that cut fast. I don't care if you've got a CO2 laser or you've got a diode laser. If it cuts fast, I'm going to use it, right? I'm totally going to use it. I want to just check. I recently used frozen pizza box material. It's dense and thin to create a spray paste art stencil. Great idea, Rob. And Pamela's saying that I have a digital cutter that cuts cardboard. Now I have to try it on the laser cutter. Let me tell you a little secret there, Pamela. Your cutter probably has blades. The blades are going to get dull. The laser doesn't get dull. Doesn't get dull. Rock and Rob, don't cut a pizza with your laser. I showed that video on a live stream I think it was a couple of months ago. Don't cut food on your laser. Little secret there. But use the boxes, absolutely. Felt cuts like butter, says Becca. She's done it, but it smells. Of course it smells because it's wool. It's a natural product. So either do it outside, have a ventilation system or a filter in place, but you can cut it. And again, it's kind of really interesting, especially if you're making something that used multiple pieces. Okay, let's move on because maybe I'm running late now because I'm getting into it. I'm talking about it. And the last thing we're going to talk about that's a really good material that a lot of people don't think about is denim, because durable fabrics that are tightly woven, such as denim and cotton, are awesome to put in your laser. And you can not only, it's a lot faster than embroidering, but you can both cut and engrave into the denim. Just be aware that because it's a material and we're putting energy into it, it does have a tendency to catch light. So you may want to dial in that process and always monitor when material like that you happen to use it in your laser. So denim is definitely a good material too. In fact, Bruce, who sometimes is in here, I was talking to him the other day, and he did that with his jeans. He engraved his jeans a little bit too much, ended up putting a hole in them. Maybe he doesn't like the fact that I'm telling him that, but yeah, that was a kind of an interesting experience for him. Rob saying no pizza in my laser. Good man. Stuart saying love cutting felt, great for lining boxes. I wouldn't have thought of that, but that's awesome. And Adrian saying that the white compressed card works well for birthday cards. Engraving a piece of bread works well too. Bread works well as long as it's the first thing you're ever going to use in your laser and you never do it again. Because the minute you cut wood, plastic, paper, any of that sort of stuff, it atomizes the material all over your laser. I don't care how well you're gonna clean it. When you're ingesting food, not the greatest. Yeah, I like. It can get like that. Pamela saying about I use it for vinyl cutting more. I have a vinyl cutter myself, and that's what I use it for. So I'm glad to hear that you're not using your laser. We're going to go into that. Let's go to some of the materials you don't want to use in your laser. So the first one is polycarbonate or Lexan. A lot of people don't realize that polycarbonate is used to filter out infrared radiation, which is one of the reasons why they use it on laser cutters, especially diode laser cutters that use the visible light spectrum to create their laser. Regardless if you're using a CO2 laser or a diode laser, because this material can actually absorb a lot of the radiation, it's really hard to cut. But if you really want to cut it, you can, but just be aware that the polycarbonate will heat up to a point where they have stringy clouds of soot that will float up. They can catch on the optics of your laser, and once they're there, they could cause a fire. So, if you're going to cut polycarbonate, use hand tools. CanC, thank you so much for being here. Go enjoy your darts game, or catch the rest of this on the flip side. We'll see you next time. But going back to both Lexan and polycarbonate, the most common application I see of this material is actually on diode lasers to make sure that people's eyes and vision are safe, because it absorbs a lot of that that infrared radiation, which you don't want you don't want your eyes to absorb it, and you definitely don't want your skin to absorb it either, because you're going to get yourself a nice little kind of charbroiled look. Well, it'll look like a sunburn, but it actually is the same thing that they use in kitchens, and in, I think, air fryers as well, use some of that technology to cook food. You don't want that. Let's move it on. Polycarbonate. Polypropylene, what I'm saying. Polycarbonate. Polypropylene is used in plastic containers, water bottles, and outdoor furniture. Now, some people have put this in their laser in the past. One of the things that actually happens is that it'll catch fire. And it's interesting because once it's caught fire, it becomes into this like liquidy plastic. And once it hardens, it's like a rock. It's really hard to get out of your laser. And it's completely toxic smoke is produced from it. If you want to cut it, if you have to, if this is your life dream to finish this project and you need to cut polypropylene, you can cut 1 or 2 mil sheets with low power and multiple passes. I know some of the team at Darkly Lab have cut black polypropylene, very thin sheets. I saw an amazing sunglass case that gets folded up and you can put your sunglasses in. That was made with quite thin polypropylene, but if you're using stuff that is in this photo, that kind of rigid, stacked polypropylene, please don't do it. You're just going to make a mess and possibly harm yourself. So there you go. Pamela's saying she doesn't touch that stuff. I don't want to clean that stuff up. There you go. I got a feeling, Pamela, have you had experience? Have you actually used this? And that's actually what happened to you? But it is such a mess in your laser. It is, I suggest you don't use it. But who am I? I'm some guy on YouTube. Don't trust me. Moving on, sticky glue backing. We talked about this once before, but I do want to go through this because, again, a lot of people will tell you very obvious things not to use. But if you've got material that has a pre-glued back, what a lot of people don't realize is that when you vaporize the foam and the glue layer, it will adhere is not a word. Adhere is the word I'm looking for, to a lens on or the diode itself. And when you put something that close to a laser source, it will end up creating a lot of heat. It can damage and crack your lens, and it can actually start a fire. If you happen to want to use glue backing on something that you're cutting, my suggestion, and I've done this many, many times, is to actually get the piece cut out on your laser, and then you can get that kind of glue foam, put the piece down, and just use one of these things. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's probably it's blurred. There you go. Just a little scalpel. It takes just one moment to go around it all. You pop it out. You've got your glue back. You are ready to rock and roll. I know that if you're making multiple pieces, that could be a little bit strenuous to go and cut things out every single time. But what you're going to be able to save in replacing equipment in your laser, I personally think that it's worth it. So just be aware that sometimes materials with a sticky back, you don't want to be cutting in your laser. Pamela says, no, I haven't, but my son at school and the teacher cracked it at the kid, made him clean it up, and they were all laughing. Okay, so he put polypropylene in the laser. So that scares me. I gotta be honest with you. This is not towards your son, but I see lasers at school and kids are like, students, not kids, students are like, let's put this in the laser. And I saw someone who was going to put in a leather notebook. And I was like, can I see the notebook? And I opened it up and it was pleather, and pleather's made out of PVC. So, I had to explain to the teachers, sometimes you don't want to put material in unless you know exactly what is what you're putting in. And now a lot of schools and libraries that I've worked with will now only allow material that they provide, so they know it's safe. And Adrian actually sharing that he'd rather 3D print polypropylene. I'm with you there, man. Pamela is saying, no, sorry, got to make sure that this is right. It was not her son. It was a kid in the class. Okay, fair enough. That's a harsh teacher, but if that was me, I wouldn't want to clean it up either. Glad your son's not doing that. So Becca's asking, so are M3 sheets bad to cut? Unless they are specifically made for laser cutters, do not put them in. I'm not sure exactly which 3M sheets you're talking about. I don't know if 3M happens to have a product that they can put into the laser safely, but I would definitely check out any sort of material like that. If you ask them and they say we don't know anything about the laser, I err on the side of caution. Is my hand? No, cool. Just simply because I don't want to get sick, and I want to make sure that my laser's working really, really well. Adhesive sheets, if they're standard adhesive sheets, I prefer not to use them, because you run the risk of vaporizing the glue that's going to stick to elements of your laser and could cause a major problem. But I'm just some guy who plays a laserologist on YouTube, so who do I know? What do I know? Have the conversation. It's really up to you ultimately on what you want to do, but I just want to share the information. Oh, hang on a second. That's no good. I just happened to kill my thing. That's really, really bad. Give me a second here, guys. I just realized I did the wrong thing. Okay, let's see if we can come back to what I wanted to do. Let's go take a look at the next material. Oh, Becca, that's totally cool. I like having the conversation. Ultimately, all of this is not worth, take it for what it's worth. I'm not trying to steer anyone away from a material or towards a material. I will tell you if I've used it and I believe it's safe. But again, at the same time, you need to feel comfortable using your laser, ultimately. Not the cat. The cat did not do anything to me. Thank you so much, Audrey. Can you cut calico? I think it's organic cotton. I think, Emery, you can, but I'll need to look into it. So leave it with me. I'll go take a look at what calico is, and we'll see what happens. Again, it's more about how they treat the material. All right. We were talking before about polypropylene. We are also going to discuss what's called high-density polyethylene, which is one of the things that they make milk bottle plastic out of. It's highly, highly recyclable, which a lot of people like using. And it's a plastic that happens to be made from petroleum byproducts. It's one of the most versatile plastics around. And it's used in a lot of applications, including milk jugs, shampoo bottles, bleach bottles, cutting boards, piping. It likes to melt when it's heated and become incredibly sticky and gooey, and then it proceeds to catch fire. Now, just generally, as a general, I don't know about you guys, I don't like fires in my laser. I don't like fires in my office. I don't like fires. If my rule is that if there's a fire in my laser, I'm doing the wrong thing. So this material, you may be able to work out a way. Maybe you're doing really low power passes multiple times to cut it, but generally it gets to a point where it gets sticky, gooey, and then it catches fire. So for me, it's a no-no. Polystyrene foam also has that issue. Polystyrene, a lot of people use it in packing and model making. This stuff catches fire and then burns rapidly. It's almost like the I was going to say heat beat, or the fire starters you use in a barbecue or for a log fire. This is the polystyrene is the fire starter for laser cutters. It melts when it's on fire, and it's the #1 cause of laser fires because people always are trying to work out how they can cut polystyrene because it's so common. So, you know, people think polystyrene, great, fantastic, let's go and do it, and then there's a fire. It's very hard. It's not a good thing when your laser's on fire for a number of reasons. I know we just hit an hour, but that's okay. We're almost there. I do want to share one more product that you should never ever put into your laser under any circumstances, and that happens to be PVC. This is highly toxic. If you haven't seen my my video talking about how you can check material to see if it's got PVC, I invite you all to see it. I will put the link in the description below, or look out for that thumbnail with me choking to death. PVC is made up of chlorine, which happens to bond with moisture in the air and turn itself into chlorine gas. Ironically, and this is what's so scary about it, this is the stuff they used in World War I. This is, you know, when we saw people with big hoods, chlorine gas, they used to send that across when they were in the trenches, and it's a very, very nasty way of poisoning people. Now, when you're using your laser, if you're engraving, you have a higher risk. If you're cutting, it's less. But what a lot of people don't know is that PVC also happens to attack any sort of metallic etchings, which is exactly what PCB boards in the electronics of your laser are made up of. So you may have a issue if you cut PVC in your laser with the electronics, with anything that's made out of rubber in your laser, and and of course you've got the risk that if you're in a room without ventilation, you can build up those chlorine gases. Now, PVC is in a whole bunch of forms. You can get PVC pipe. I believe, I think it was Rock and Rob was talking a little bit earlier about cutting records. If you want to cut a record, you want to look at a CNC machine that can physically cut the record, as opposed to being able to cut it out on a laser. Don't do it. That was one of the first videos that I made about safety, and it's, you know, it's what showed me that people wanted to discuss this topic, simply because people if you don't know something, no one can hold you accountable for it. And when it comes to PVC, this is, I don't know if I ever told people this, but I found out the hard way. I really found out the hard way about PVC when someone gave me a material to cut in the laser, and I just trust my gut. I started cutting it and I felt something weird. So I cut the machine off. We had some very big extraction fans, and then when I started looking into it, I realized that I possibly could have done something that could have harmed me in the long term. There is a very quick test. It takes about 10 to 15 seconds. I go through that in that video. It's called the Bell-Steen's test. You take some wire, you take a heating source, you melt a little piece on it, and depending on what color the flame is, it will actually accelerates the ability for the metal to turn, to make the flame green. If it turns green straight away, don't use it. I invite you all, if you haven't gone through that video before, to go and check that out. Keep yourself safe. Keep yourself safe. Just very, very, very quickly, that Rock and Rob was saying, Stuart was saying here, the calico should be okay as long as it's unbleached cotton, often not fully processed. I agree with you on that. Pamela saying that it is, what scares her is fire, and stay away from fire. I've never had a fire in my laser. I only want to cut when hubby's home for the first time I use stuff. Fair enough. Feel free. You know, you've got to feel safe. You've got to feel safe on this journey. And I hope that this conversation brings to attention some of the things that can happen when you're using a laser. Try not, everyone's very super eager. This technology has been used in manufacturing for quite some time. I did want to tell Rock and Rob as well, you can cut PVC on a laser, but you have to coat the whole machine with like some sort of grease agent or Vaseline or something like that. And then you have to vent out. You have to have almost negative pressure in the machine to be able to do that. That's some extreme work. And I find that very off-putting to go to those extremes. But just there you go. Just to make sure that you're able to, if you're going to do that, stay safe, my friend. Just stay safe. I don't want to hear anyone. I've had some people actually contact me and say, you know what? I should have tested it. I ended up in the hospital. Around just before Christmas, everyone seems to end up getting themselves into trouble. All right. So that's it. That's where I'm going to leave this conversation. If you have any questions about material, you can always put them in the description in the comments below. I'm more than happy to explore that further. We will be doing some more the good and the bad, the ugly as we go through materials. And I'm also looking at bringing in maybe some laser materials and discussing how they work, what settings I used, and we'll see exactly what goes on. But let's go into the home stretch here. 1 hour, I'm still running long, but let's talk about this month's Laserologist challenge. This is the Laserologist challenge for March. This is open to all Laserologists. We do a themed challenge, and it's open to any skill level, if you're a beginner or not. And for March, the theme is a family memento. Create a family memento. The material of use for this challenge should be wood. You can use MDF, you can use hardwoods, you can use plywood, anything else you want to do. Our due date is the 5th of April, so there still is some time. And we ask you to send your entries into laser.livestream@gmail.com. Along with the entries, we will have a winner. We will have a prize. I see Pamela in the chat room also asking us, what about acrylics? Acrylic is fine. If you've got a diode laser, you can only use solid colored acrylics because... and black is probably the best color because it absorbs the radiation, the energy coming from the laser beam. If you want to use clear or opaque perspex, you're not going to get a result out of a acrylic laser. You need to use a CO2 laser because it's further up in the spectrum. In fact, CO2 lasers you can't even see with the naked eye. So that's why sometimes they put little laser pointers so you can see exactly what's going on. But acrylics are fine. I would suggest just make sure that you're in a ventilated area when you're cutting them. That's all. I've been cutting acrylic for years. 4 years. Am I okay? Am I safe? Why didn't you guys tell me? Am I crazy? Do you think I'm affected by acrylic and all the laser work? Maybe I am. You know what? This week, I asked myself that question many times. Also, I want to learn from you guys, and a lot of people want to learn from you too. So I am putting together a tips and tricks from the community episode. So every live stream, we come together and help each other by sharing some of the lessons we learned. Please feel free to send in your favorite tip or trick to laser.livestream@gmail.com. And we're going to put that together and do a special. We did that last year, and it was a fantastic thing. So I would love that. Pamela saying we're all a little crazy. Rob saying maybe we all are. Aren't we all, says Peter. Oh, you guys are too kind. You're way too kind. The other thing that I want to let you guys know is that I do quite a bit of tutoring, both in using a laser and with LightBurn. If you're interested, I do virtual classes or one-on-one tuition. We do it online. Sometimes people are working on a project, they get stuck, or they want a little bit better explanation of what's going on. You can get in touch with me and we can organize a time to catch up. It's laser.livestream@gmail.com. Wow. All right, so my best attempt is an hour 11 minutes. An hour 11 minutes. And I can see people already dropping off. They're like, the good stuff's here. It's just skill now. It's kind of interesting. Well, so I'm going to wrap this episode up of the laser live stream. Guys, let me know if you enjoyed it. Do you like the shorter format? I know there are a lot of people saying we want it longer. So next time I'm going to arrange a place for us all to go so we can continue the conversation. It'll be I'm hoping it'll be next time. If not, it'll be very soon. Guys, before I leave, I want to thank both Darkly Labs and LightBurn for making this all possible. These guys are amazing. Amazing. Please support them because they are supporting us. And I want to say to everyone, this week has been an incredible challenge for me personally. Incredibly challenge. Take a moment out, make something amazing, share it with your family, and don't take for granted what we all take for granted, because you never know where the world is going to be able to challenge you. Rock and Rob's asking, next time the projects are due, aren't they? Absolutely, they are due. We're going to go through the next Laserologist challenge and see what everyone makes. Guys, thank you so much. I'm going to be here in 2 weeks' time. In between that, we're going to have some tutorials. Come over to the Facebook group. I apologize. Just in the last couple of weeks, I haven't been as active as normal, but I'm still there. I still love seeing what everyone's doing. You guys are my laser family, and I miss you in between the live streams. Thank you so much. Stay safe. Go make something amazing, and just appreciate one day at a time. I'll see you guys real soon.